Welcome back to Ladies Lounge, and of course we are still here, TNT special episode, and I'm still with my beautiful and handsome co-host today. And of course, if you joined us in the first half, we had a chow down. We literally nyammed all this food that was here. It was so amazing. Of course, it was provided to us by Sham.
Liming.
Who's the owner of
Master
Liming.
Chef.
Exactly. Who's the owner of Liming. And we were liming, basically. So, of course, as we mentioned, liming is us just having a good time, enjoying each other's company, relaxing in this nice atmosphere. Now, we did have a few games, but we want to kind of bring it a little bit of a serious note because we're so close to, we're in very, very close proximity to Venezuela for viewers that don't know. So we have a lot of Spanish-speaking people in Trinidad. We have, again, as I mentioned, that multi-ethnicity in our community. But recently, there have been a lot of issues with Venezuelans coming to Trinidad, for whatever reason.
Yes.
And it's not been received very well.
Well, I think any sort of people moving into another country, it's never welcomed. But I think we're so close, probably a touch at some point, in history. And when you look at why they're leaving, it's not because they want to.
Yeah, it's really bad.
People are leaving because they have to leave, and they have no way to feed themselves and their family. And I think if you look at that and you step back, and I know I live abroad and I'm not in Trinidad, so and it's whatever. But the fact is that people are leaving because they have to leave. I left Trinidad because I wanted to leave. I live here now. I've made a life here for myself, and that's great. They are now choosing to do that. So if you can find a way that Venezuelans can work and they can actually help the country, our background is Chinese, Indian, we come from all continents. Yeah. What's one more continent?
Right. Exactly. What are your thoughts on Venezuela?
I think looking at the reasons why they have to leave, like they were in dire situations, civil unrest. Like it's not like they were experiencing, an oasis of a country that was Venezuela. So. When you consider these things, and I'd like to tend to think that even though not all of the Trinidadians, would welcome them with open arms, some of them do, and some of them are helping them with housing, with education, and I think that's coming away from the problematic sides of things. Like that's really admirable.
That's excellent.
And. Yeah, like it's good to just welcome them with open arms because they have their culture as well. Which the last time I was in Trinidad, I saw the population landscape had changed. Like I'm seeing so many more different types of faces in the city that I wasn't used to like 10 years ago, and it's happened so quickly. But that doesn't have to be a bad thing. I think once we channel them through the right channels, it's a way that can benefit the country, of course, and them as well. In the long term.
I'm the exact same. I think it's hard for us to see. It doesn't get showcased how bad it really is. Yeah. And this is like mainstream worldwide news, but we do get local broadcasts, people going over, and it's really, really bad. So if we are able to facilitate helping them to change their life without too much putting ourselves in a position where it's taken away from us, then why not?
But also on a lighter note, just imagine our food, how amazing it is right now. Imagine when you put Latin American food into it.
Imagine what ingredients you put into
it. Our food will be the best in the world.
It just brings back to my remembrance, like some of the words from our national anthem. It says, "Here, every creed and race find an equal place." So for people that are opposed to Venezuelans coming over and a bit xenophobic, about them coming over, like, no, we don't want them coming over, they're taking our jobs and blah, 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 blah. I think we just need to really remember that because I can draw a comparison. We can make a comparison because we live in the UK.
Yes.
Where if not in our not so distant past, where there were buses, literally, and buses with posters under a government saying, immigrants go home. Do you know what I mean? Oh yeah, you don't. Yeah, you know what I mean. So I would never personally want to see that done in Trinidad and Tobago. Like, I wouldn't want that to be our attitude toward Venezuelans.
Well, what's funny with Trinidadians are, they will protest about this, but what they should be protesting about are the lack of facilities and water and energy.
Yeah.
They don't protest about that.
Yeah.
But they're quite happy to protest about it. So it's really funny where the human conscience actually comes
The
into this.
mindset.
I think we definitely need to remember like the human element of it, and at any point in time there could be like a natural disaster.
Exactly.
There could be corruption that just sends us plummeting down like economically,
and we can drop even more so.
Exactly.
We could be in that situation. I don't think Venezuela saw themselves being in that.
Not at all.
That
One of the
situation.
richest in the world.
Do you understand?
It's surprising for everyone.
So
we know why it happened anyway, but we don't know about it.
Well,
Maybe I touch on that.
No,
but it's always important to remember the human element of it, and if it can happen to one person, it can happen to you. Right? It can happen to one country, it can happen to you.
But I think also, I'm playing devil's advocate here. I think also, if we think about it realistically, I think one of the main concerns that a lot of people were saying was the element of crime. Because, Venezuela, let's be very honest about it. Venezuela, there's a huge drug problem.
Yeah.
And there is that, should I say, knock-on effect with those drugs being transported into Trinidad and Tobago. So from a security point of view, I think that is a valid point, about their concerns.
But so that comes to the government and people who are protecting the borders, actually looking after people who are fleeing because they're hungry and they have no food. That's two different. And yes,
completely
I get
different
that.
story.
When you swim 7 or 8 miles to actually get to land to actually be safe and quite possibly drowned in, that's a whole very different thing. So yes, there is that, but that's a gun on the government of trying to be able to actually protect our borders.
But that's the thing. Are they doing enough?
Well,
That's the other
comment.
thing. That's the other thing.
Well, I mean, if they have stats that are showing that crime is rising because of, certain things, then okay, fine, but it's still on the onus of
course.
And we have to also think that, we did have a crime problem. So it's not just them. Exactly. So we have to look at ourselves before pointing the blame on others. And I feel like, even if we take it 5 years ago, before it really got bad in Venezuela, we had a crime problem anyway.
Of course.
So we can't just blame them. And I feel like that's a bit insensitive to them as well.
Do you think we're scapegoating at this point?
Just an element, probably.
Small amount,
it's something, it's something new and different. And of course, with human nature, people will be alarmed.
Right.
But
if we look at immigration, what they can actually add to a country, we should welcome that, that element. And if someone wants to come and do something and sort of, add to the rich tapestry that we already have, then that's great. And let's celebrate that.
Of course. Because if you think about it, we're all immigrants. We're in the UK, we're immigrants ourselves. So I think that is an interesting point to bring up. But moving on to a different light, we've spoken about loads of things about Trinidad and Tobago. We've spoken about the food. We've had the food. We've spoken about saying funny things that Trinidadians say. What does it mean to you in one sentence, if you could? I know that's why I put it in one sentence. One sentence. What does it mean to you to be a Trinidadian or Trinbagonian?
Come back to me on this one.
All right.
No, one sentence is too hard.
Okay, 1 minute each because we have to round up.
Okay, let me go first.
A minute each.
I think for me, I left a while ago, and I sort of acclimatized my life to UK. And it wasn't until we opened the restaurant and we opened Lyman, I actually sort of re-identified and communicated again with being Trinidadian. And what being Trinidadian means, we didn't have a place like what we have now. And what it means is a place I can celebrate our culture, our food, our people, our music, our art, our craft, our nature. So being Trinidadian, being proud of what we actually have there, what we can build on here. I am champion for One Caribbean. I'm champion for Trinidad. I'm champion for food and our people.
I love you, Sharon. I want to be like you when I grow up. I love that.
I think what it means for me to be Trinidadian, it's allowing myself to be passionate about the causes that I believe in, to embrace different cultures, because Trinidad is a melting pot of different cultures. And that's what's allowed me to not only travel here and work here, but to other parts of the world, and just be completely open to, what different cultures have to offer, and to incorporate that into my life experience and to have a better life experience for myself.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's the same as these guys. We're also proud of our culture. I mean, I was born there, I came here when I was 5, but I'm back and forth. And I think for me, the fact that I've been able and fortunate to go back home 2-3 times a year, every year, I really appreciate the difference in culture sometimes. And I appreciate the fact that, you know, at home we do things a certain way, but just because I'm not home, I can bring that here if it is a better way or whatever it may be. And it's a very proud place because there is nowhere in the world that is like Trinidad. I don't, you know, a lot of people categorize the West Indies as a whole and things like that, but our culture is so different from Grenada, Jamaica, St. Lucia, whoever.
But just for equally, for just one more thing, following that, you know, and let's bring the Caribbean into this. So we come in the UK, from the Caribbean, come from all over the Caribbean.
All over,
We're here, and if we can work together, and so why I couldn't have here one Caribbean? Let us say we are Caribbean, and then say I'm Island. You say American, say I'm American, and then I'm from Texas. Let us say I am a Caribbean person, and I am from Trinidad or Barbados or Jamaica. We need to set a champion that region as well.
I agree.
Sure.
I definitely agree. My family is a complete mixture. We have different skin tones from the lightest to the darkest, and I absolutely love it. I love the different shades and different ethnicities that are in my family. However, I do specifically remember a situation where my grandmother, God rest her soul, who's very, very, very light-skinned, told me as a young child to not go out into the sun because I would get darker.
And I think that the issue really comes from colonization, where deep down in our psyche, our ancestors really were taught to believe that the lighter your skin was and the more Caucasian your features was, the better you were. What is remarkably disappointing, which is a really strong word to use, I know, but what is quite disappointing is that there are still Trinidadians that really believe that their blood is pure.